My parents divorced when I was very young and I lived with my mother. I was scared of married life and never wanted to get married. When I was 34 years old, I met my current husband. He was very good, he gave me a sense of security, and we soon got married. Soon after we got married, I got pregnant and my family and I were very happy. However, the delivery was very difficult and my cervix did not dilate properly. It lasted for several hours and I felt a lot of pain. I became unconscious and the doctors and nurses were very alarmed. They checked my pulse. Suddenly, I was out of my body. I was aware of what was going on around me and I kept floating around in the dark. The last words I could hear were, "She's going to stop her heart." Suddenly, I found myself in a strange place. I was standing in front of a big gate, which was very high. It was filled with flowers of all colors, with a faint white light shining around the petals. It was so pure to look at. I felt no pain here, I felt very relaxed here, just like coming home. The sky was a blue color that I had not seen before. I was admiring the scenery when a person suddenly appeared in front of me. I knew that face. Oh, God, it was my aunt. She passed away 10 years ago from cancer. My aunt was more beautiful than I remembered. Then I saw my uncle, who had died before I was born, but I knew it was him. And my grandmother, who I never met. I only saw it inside the old family photo album. The recently deceased was there. Then I turned around and saw my mother. My mother had died when I was 19 years old. I was a rebellious teenager at the time and we were always arguing. The day she died, we were preparing to move to a smaller apartment. Because she was unemployed at the time, she could no longer afford the high rent. We had a big fight at that time. I said a lot of harsh words to her. He ended up going to the apartment with the movers and he said he would pick me up after the move. I waited for my mom at my friend's house. But it was very late and she didn't come to pick me up. Then I was informed that my mom had a serious car accident on the way here. She died so suddenly that she hadn't said goodbye yet. And there was no chance to say, "Mom, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. I really love you." She was gone just like that. Later I lived with my father. My father often comforted me, saying it was not my fault. But I always felt so guilty that I never had the chance to say goodbye. Now my mother was standing in front of me. I asked myself, is this real? Or did I imagine it? Then my mom said to me, "This is real, my daughter." We talked about the day she died and I remember crying while I apologized to her. She said, "No, it's not your fault, it's just my time." As she said that, she took me in her arms, just like she used to do when I was 5 years old. As she did so, I looked down and there was a cat I had as a child. It died when I was very young, and it stayed with me for many years. It all sounds crazy, doesn't it? Here, I don't feel the presence of time. I don't know how much time passed and we continued talking about it. I said to her, "Do you still get mad at me now?" She said, "No, what happened over there doesn't make sense here." She said, "We will be waiting for you over here, but you have to go back now, your time is not up yet." I said, "Mom, I don't want to go back, I want to stay here." She said, "You have to go back. You will have a beautiful daughter and you must bring up this child. Then my mother told me that if I want to be happy in my marriage, I must trust each other completely and be more tolerant. Don't be like me and your father. I said, Mom, I don't want to go, I want to stay with you. Let me stay with you. I don't want to go back. She told me, she will always be here, she will be here again. He said again, your daughter needs you. I thought, my God, I haven't thought of a name yet. When I woke up, I was in the delivery room and the doctor performed a cesarean section. My daughter was born, and she was so sweet and healthy. Now I know that my mother was always there for me and that she did not leave me. When things get tough in my life, it seems she tells me that everything is going to be okay.